Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, we're going to be doing a book review of The Ancient Olympics by Nigel Spivey, and this will be the second book review over either Greek sports or The Ancient Olympics, probably out of three, couple week time period. Now, this book was fairly dry, I will say. It started off really good, but it definitely lost a lot of momentum, and it was kind of slow pacing. For the other con, to get them out of the way first, was that I believe too much material of a short book such as this was dedicated to the history of Olympia, the site itself, such as its mythical foundations, that sort of thing, as well as the political history of Olympia throughout Greek history. And I just felt that it was that was super dry, and it just felt like it was out of place, taking up too much material. It really just didn't seem like it was important to the rest of the concept of the book itself. Now that those are out of the way, the book did have the book did have a lot of redeeming features. It was very well researched, and it was quite scholarly. This tended to make it a little dry at some points, but a lot of chapters were really good. Now, especially the chapter on Greek idealism, for example, why the Greeks pushed themselves so hard to compete in things like athletics and that sort of thing, and why we have all these statues basically of, Greek athletes and Greek torsos and that sort of thing that are like super, perfectly symmetrical and ripped and that sort of thing. Also, the chapter on, what did he call it? The program of agony, which was the actual, basically what Olympic athletes did at Olympia and that sort of thing, how they went about their day and actually did the competitions and that sort of thing, I thought was really well done. I think one of the author's strong points is etymology, like the study of how, basically what words mean, for example. And I learned a ton just from that. For example, I learned a lot of root words that I thought were really interesting, just some that I wrote down. The Greek word agon basically means contest, and that's where we get our English word agony from. It's basically the tried so hard and trained so hard for contest that it is basically painful, and that's where we get agony from. Well, that was really interesting. And also, on a similar note, athleo, where we get the word athlete or athletics and that sort of thing, it, in one sense means prize, like the prize that an athlete would win from a contest or something like that. But also another variation of athleo is basically I suffer, because athletes would have to train and compete so vigorously that it was essentially a form of suffering to most people. The book also had a good bibliography at the end, and I felt that it was a pretty good introduction to the Ancient Olympics if you've never read a book before solely on that topic, which I haven't. I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars, primarily because the long section on the political history of the site of Olympia itself, I just felt it's really long, and it felt a little out of place, and that was the major dry portion of the book. And if that had been revamped a little bit, I think it could have been a little bit higher. But the Ancient Olympics sounds interesting to you should definitely pick it up. It's a quick and fairly easy read. You should definitely go check it out. And always remember, read victoriously.